So you want to start off with, have her do the introduction, and then also you can start getting into the first 3 questions.
Can you introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Amanda McLaren, and I am the director of the Benzonia Public Library.
Such a professional, already.
Why are you a librarian?
Why am I a librarian? So I don't know how I would answer that. I'm a librarian because I just kind of fell into this job, to be honest. When I was growing up, it didn't even occur to me to be a librarian. Like, it wasn't a goal of mine, because to me, librarians were larger than life. So it didn't occur to me that I could be a librarian. So I was volunteering in a library, and the director there, when a position opened up, she asked me to fill out an application. And I remember thinking, what? Like, but how's that possible? Like, how could I just be a librarian? It's the greatest job in the world. Like, you can't pay people to do that, because they should do it for free, because they're so lucky to work in a library. And so it really did just happen for me.
So I want to hop in real quick. So one thing that I want to follow up on. So she's presenting this like super like I love the way you framed librarians being this larger than life, like holy grail.
Right.
So I want to know more about why, as a child, did she have that view of libraries and librarians. So one follow-up question I think would be good to ask here is, what did you mean by larger than life? And why did you hold librarians in such high regard? And why did you see that as something other that like you couldn't be?
Do I ask it again?
Or do you want me to just answer yours?
Just go ahead, and then if you think of other follow-ups as she's answering that.
Okay.
Go ahead. Yeah.
So when I was younger, I lived around the block from the library. I lived in the city, and I was allowed to go to the library on my own. And I would go around the block and enter this place that was like a sanctuary. I would walk in there and immediately feel safe and wanted and welcome. And that feeling, it was probably the only place in my childhood where I really felt that way. And the librarian was always engaging and so kind and lovely. And it's interesting, I can't remember what the inside of that building looked like. I don't remember it at all. I only remember the feeling of it. And the idea that someone like me could create an atmosphere like that, could create a place where somebody could walk and feel loved and welcome and fulfilled, was really, that felt outside of my realm. That felt outside of possibility for a normal person to do. And so, and I still feel that way about libraries. I still feel that way when I walk in. I feel this instant, and I just love that. I love that I get to be part of that now in my life.
So much good detail and imagery out of that question, right?
Yeah.
Do you have a, you're like hitting all the categories right now with your answers. So is there anything else that you want to follow up on, or that piqued your interest in her answer there?
Maybe like, so you said you lived in a city as a child. So how did you become a librarian in Benzie County?
So I became a librarian in Benzie County. We moved up here when I was in the 4th grade. My dad, he was sick, and they wanted him to get out of the city. They wanted him to get somewhere with fresh air, and my grandparents had brought him here as a child, more in the like Leelanau area, but right around here. And they found property in Lake Ann that they loved. And so it was very different. It was very different moving from the city to here, where in the city there was a library around the block, and here the library was so far away and there was really no one to take me there. When I could no longer walk to the library, I no longer had that access. And then we didn't have books in our home growing up, and I was a huge reader, so that was really hard on me. So I would literally read anything I could get my hands on. TV Guide, I would read cover to cover. I would read it, I would sit down with it. There were, I don't know, you might be kind of young for it, but there used to be like these Reader's Digest condensed books all over the place. I don't know why. But I would read those. And so anything I could get my hands on, I would read. So when I had my own freedom, my own vehicle and way to get around, that was one of the first things that I wanted to do, is get to a library and be part of that world again. And so that's how I got connected with the Interlochen Public Library, which was the closest one to our home in Lake Ann. And so that became my home library. And then when my middle son, Finn, was born, my mother-in-law, the sweetest lady in the world, offered to babysit him once a week. And I thought, what am I going to do with like this free time? I had no idea what I wanted to do. And it was consistent every week. And that's how I ended up at the library. So I went in and started volunteering, and it was so cool. Like, I was just doing little things to start. I was just shelving books. And then I was able to start like shifting books. And then I was able to start like doing displays and fun things like that. And that's where I noticed that more and more as I came in, the director would come out and we'd talk and get to know each other more and more. And when she did ask me about applying for that position, she said, I just see this spark in you, which I loved, because I think it's really cool to be recognized in that way. And so I thought, oh my gosh, like I have a spark in this magical place. Like, it was so cool. So that would have been 19 years ago. And from there, so I did apply for that job. I really loved it. I loved every aspect of being in a library. I was at the Interlochen Public Library for 10 years. And then from there, I went on to the school. I was at Benzie County Central School for a couple years, the media specialist there, kind of more, actually, that's not even true. I was a parapro who got to work in the library, but also had to police the lunchroom, which was a nightmare, but very fun too, because I got a chance to really connect with the students. I loved my time at the school. I loved being able to create programs with the kids. I loved working with the kids. And from there, this position here at Benzonia Public Library opened. And I'll be honest, I really didn't think I would get it, but I knew I would regret not trying. And so I remember being in the interview room, and they interviewed me there in the Catton room. And it was so intimidating. There were 6 board members and me. I couldn't even decide what shoes to wear when I came in, because I wanted to look professional, but I also wanted to be myself, and I wanted them to hire me and know what to expect. And so I really debated that, and I don't know why that sticks out to me, but it really does. It was the hardest decision. And I did wear my Converse, by the way. And it was such a great, I'm so thankful that I went for it, because I was so afraid. And I am so thankful, because from the time I started here, and I've been here over 6 years now, I believe I just celebrated my 6-year anniversary here. It is one of the most fulfilling, tiring, overwhelmingly amazing, heartbreaking. I don't know. It's like it checks every single box. And the cool thing about being a librarian in a small town, in a small library, is you get to do all of it. Typically, like a director in a large library, they're just doing the administrative role, right? Here, I get to be at the front desk. I get to be the children's librarian. I get to shovel the sidewalk. I get to really be involved in every aspect of my job, and I get to really, really connect with people. And I'm grateful for that, because it'd be hard to just sit at a desk. And, you know, I love organization. I love, love, love. So I also get to kind of feed that part of myself too. But so that's the long answer of how I got to be a librarian here in Benzie County.
It's going so good. We could already make a short video from your first answers.
Perfect.
Yeah. So the last question here, well, just because you're going to do the first three, would be, what does it mean to be a librarian? And based on what she has said so far, I'm like curious about like when you were talking about what the library meant to you as a kid. It was so much more than just going to get books. It was providing this space for her to go to that was safe and a community or whatever. Mm-hmm. So one way that you could frame that question at this point, now that you know a little bit more, based on what you said, is, so what does it mean to be a librarian? Like, do you want to be providing, like, are you doing this to provide that same space that you had as a kid for other people, or like, what all does it mean mm-hmm. to be a librarian?
Okay.
So that would be one way that you could kind of reframe the questions as you go, based on the new knowledge that you have.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I hope I'm not like taking over too much. Okay. Cool. So go ahead and frame that question however you want.
Okay. So you mentioned as a child that going to libraries, it was more about being in a safe space. So as a librarian now, do you want to provide that kind of safe space for other children and other people?
Yes. It means everything to me to be able to create that type of environment. I mean, from like across the board, with the staff, with the patrons.
I'm going to interrupt real quick.
Oh.
So she started, my mask on. She started answering the question without repeating I thought you were about to repeat the question and answer, but then, and you were going that way, but then you didn't. So,
okay.
Because you refer to it as that space.
Okay.
So when stuff like that happens, just hop in and be like, hey, no, it's okay.
Yeah, I forgot this.
So you asked me, and can I say it like that? So you asked me, can I do that or no?
What?
She says, can I say, so you asked me this? Can I say it like that, or do I need to say? Yeah,
no, you just want to start over again, but provide context.
Okay. Do I want to create a safe space and a nice environment for people coming into the library? Yes, that's very important to me. I think it's, above all, it's my number one goal at the library. I want it to be with everybody and everything. I want it to be with the staff that works here. I want them to feel that so that they're able to share that with the patrons. I want the patrons to feel that. I want them to feel like they're coming home when they walk in. We're in the smallest county in Michigan. Benzie County is the smallest county in Michigan, yet we have 4 libraries here. So people have access to a library. You know, they can go wherever they want to get books, but they come here for something more than books. You know, there is a connection, and I think we all crave that. So, one exciting thing that I got to do when I first started, the board was already working on renovations. And so I was able to be part of that, which is like the coolest thing. So like this children's room, which is my favorite space in the library, we were able to help visualize and create that. And that was a really big deal. And yeah, at the very forefront, you want there to be a place where kids come in and they feel like, oh, this is magical. Like this is exciting and fun and interesting, and I'm happy, and they want me here. And so, yeah, I mean, definitely creating that feeling is super important to me.
Nice. All right. Liam, why don't you hop in there?
paper, scissors.
You're up.
Yeah.
Making the executive
You
decision.
decided
Named it.
on me, but...
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. No,
It's
okay, then go ahead.
No, Liam, go.
Okay. All right, you're starting with
Question 4.
question 4, and she was sort of just kind of answering that with like, sort of that being, her number one goal to provide that space. So maybe you could, I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe we can skip it, or you could rephrase it to be overall mission of the library, something like that. And then, so why don't you go through the next, 4, 5, and 6.
Okay. Hi, Mrs. McLaren.
Hi, Liam.
So you said earlier, you mentioned it a few times about wanting to keep the experience that you had during your childhood on repeat, and wanting to always make children and adults alike, everybody, feel that way, feel in a safe place, which is very admirable. And yeah, I agree. The library is pretty much a perfect place to do something like that. But in what ways have you tried to do that? Were you inspired by the attitudes of librarians in your childhood, or how have you provided that space?
So that's an interesting question. How have I provided that space and that feeling? And I don't know how I would answer that, really. I don't know how I could clearly answer that. I think that, gosh, I really don't know. I don't know what I do, honestly. I don't. I remember when I first got this job, I remember talking to my brother, my older brother, who never gives me advice, which is really weird. And he wanted to give me advice. And he said, every day you go to work, leave your life at home. And I thought, that's so interesting, the idea of that. And I understood what he was trying to say to me. When you come in, so it's really cool to work in a place like a library where it truly is all about community, right? So it's about connecting with people, and it's about understanding people so you can do your job in a really great way. You want to know what their needs are, what their desires are, because that's what you're trying to meet. That's your goal. And so to kind of check out of being mom and wife and friend and daughter and all of that, and to come here and be who you need, when you come in and you've had a rough day. And it's not always easy to keep that feeling that, it can be very, it can be overwhelming at times, because, it's hard to just be happy all the time. It's hard to have the public face on. It really is. Because sometimes it's rough at home. Sometimes there's a pandemic going on and you're feeling that. And it's hard to put all of that aside. But he was 100% right. It is so important, because I don't come here for me. I come here for the community, and I come here for the people that are walking in the door. And I want to be there, if they have, I have so many patrons that are everything, that just, they brighten my day as soon as they walk in the door. And, you get so attached. And I have one patron in particular that would walk in the door, and she was always looking for Randy Wayne White books. And that's a mouthful. And she'd always say, Randy Wayne White. And I loved it. I thought that was just so fun. And she passed away a couple years ago when I was gone. I was on vacation when she passed away. And I think about her all the time. And it's like that. I have had a few patrons that I've lost in the time that I've been here, and it's like they're still here. Every time I see a Randy Wayne White book, I think of her. I have another patron. Every time I see a wool hat, I think of her, you know? And so leaving everything at home, leaving all of that, and just coming here and being open and being here for the people that walk in the door, it's also selfish because I get just as much from them as they get from me. But I guess that's how I do that. I guess that's how I create that space, is I make it about them and for them as much as I'm capable.
Perfect segue into the next question.
Well, yeah, never mind. Okay.
So she kind of touched on this a little bit, but you
Yeah.
could use this as an opportunity to get kind of a little bit more detail of, so the question is, how important is the library to the community, and what impact does it have on people's lives? So you might phrase that in a way that, like, in what ways what are the many different ways that the library has an impact on people?
Okay.
So.
Okay, so I have a question.
Uh-huh.
She's talked a lot about individuals,
Mm-hmm.
individual people. Should I ask her about, like, the community in general? Like,
Yeah.
what, like, contributions this building, the literal building, has on the foundation of Benzie County, or?
Yeah, I mean,
Or
more like the institution of the library,
Okay.
like, and what all that encompasses and its impact on the community would be more what I would kind of focus on with this being. With it being just a little more concise and shorter. I'd be super interested to ask all about those people, but that would be for the long oral history. So, that sounds super interesting. Did I answer your question?
I think so. I'm just thinking
Okay.
about. Okay. So you've mentioned a lot about individuals, like I said, and how people feel safe here. But what about the institution of this library? What impact does this actual building have on the community in general?
I think that's a great question. What impact does the library have on the community in general? And I think that's a tough question for me to answer, because I know what I want the answer to be. I want it to be that there's this huge impact on the community, but of course I can only relate my own personal experience. I can tell you that, so the library, Benzonia Public Library, has been here for almost 100 years. We are just a few years away from celebrating 100 years, which is huge. I mean, that is a long time of serving one community, and throughout that time it's gone through many different changes. You know, most recently, and what I'm able to experience right now, is the idea that the library is a community hub, right? So we're not just books and movies. The amount of programming that we do, and, you know, we have this new program where people are able to check out ice skates, right? And that was a community member who, she saw this need. You know, we have the ice skate rink next door. Ice skates are expensive. Families in our area cannot afford to go and buy ice skates that their kids are likely going to outgrow by the next year. And so, so she came to us with that idea. I appreciate that she trusted us with her investment to carry that out and to make this possible. And we did it, and it's been amazing. And so we launched that program just 3 weeks ago, and in that time, 60 pairs of skates have checked out. And I think about that. I think about those families and those individuals over just next door in the ice skating rink right behind us here, creating memories. And knowing we get to be part of that, knowing that we're providing the opportunity for them to have these moments together. I had one mom who returned the skates, and she said that she didn't skate, but that she had an ab workout from laughing so hard just watching the kids skate. And that's so cool. And, you know, we do things like the summer reading program, and and puppet shows and like all of these things where the families come in together and they're spending that time together and they're connecting and, you know, they're sharing a love of reading and community. And, you know, the whole community gets involved in that because local businesses provide the prizes. And they're proud of that. I don't have to go out and beg businesses to do this. They're excited. And if I don't get a hold of them soon enough, they'll call me and say, hey, you know, like, is the program still happening? What do you need this year? And that's really, really cool because you see that we're able to help make those connections too. You know, we do a lot of craft programs, so for adults and things like that, and bringing people in together. And there aren't a lot of opportunities for people to do really cool things for free. And in communities like ours, it's really important to be able to offer that, to have an opportunity to come in. This isn't going to cost you anything, but you get to be together and you get to create something cool. And so I feel like that's a big part that the library is an impact. I feel like a connecting place, just where people can come. We have people that come in and they'll be on their computers and they'll just be in their space and they're all helping each other. So you have the computer area and somebody has a question on how to print something or how to log into a certain page or something like that. They're not always coming to us at the front desk. They're asking each other, which I think is really cool. It's people helping people. And that is like the spirit of a library, is community and coming together and really providing for each other. So I love that. And I hope that's what we do. I hope people get that feeling from us, but I don't know.
That answered a whole bunch of questions. So
Good.
That was cool.
Yeah, we're gonna
Okay.
Leola go now. So,
Leola's rolling.
yeah, I think we're probably at 30 minutes already. So we're kind of at 8, 9, 10 now.
I know I tend to ramble.
No, this is
I can shorten
very
it.
good.
I can.
That is a very low level of rambling
Oh.
compared to other people.
What do you think your biggest impact on the community has been so far?
Oh my gosh. What do I think my biggest impact on the community has been? I have no idea. I honestly don't know. I don't know if I make an impact. I really don't know.
Could you think of a project that might be your favorite that you've been involved in because of your role at the library?
So, I mean, just to speak specifically, if I had to choose a project, then it would be this project, the Remembering Benzie Oral History Project. And the reason for that is multi-layered. Number one, being able to do the Veterans History Project, being part of that and being able to introduce that was, so for me, it was a tribute to my dad. And he was drafted in Vietnam and never talked about it. But it defined everything in his life after. And I always struggled so much with the idea of that and how hard it would be to sit with that. And that's why I love the Veterans History Project. And I'm so thankful to be part of that. The other part that I love about the Remembering Benzie Project is being able to work with the students. That's been very impactful for me in many ways. It's weird to say, but I have learned so much about myself in the course of this project. I've learned so much about, I've grown a lot about what type of expectations I should put on myself, about what type of expectations I should put on other people, about grace and meeting people where they're at, and just really trying to not put so much pressure and think that everything has to be perfect or a certain way. And that is something that I have learned from working with the students. You know, last year especially, because it was the first year and there were so many things that we learned along the way. And so this year, and I hate to say it because I don't want last year's students to feel bad, but this year has been such a pleasure compared to last year. It's been such a joy, and that is really what I had hoped for in this project. You know, the overall feeling of, you know, something that is good for the community, that's impacting the community. I look at how many views some of these videos have, and it's like, yeah, people like this, they enjoy this, and it's so cool to get these stories out here, and it's so cool to see you guys doing it, to see the younger generation going out and meeting the older generation and drawing those stories out. And do you know that when I make initial contact with people, that is what they're most excited about? They are so excited to connect with the younger generation. And we lose some of that these days, I think. And so yeah, I would definitely say I'm proud of this project on so many different levels. And it's definitely one of those things that I will like forever remember and cherish and be proud of for sure.
Along with the accomplishments like those projects that you've had before, what more do you hope to accomplish during your career?
What more do I hope to accomplish during my career? I want my family to be proud of me. I mean, simply, like, that's it. I want, you know, like every step feels like, so I can say, I've done this and I'm proud of it. And I could continue on that path, like, but mostly I know I'm surrounded by people that love me and that root for me. And when they say, like, great job, mama, that's literally all I want to hear in life. So I just want them to be proud of me, and I want to keep working hard and just keep like bringing people together. And I mean, that's it. I just want to keep on.
How do you hope the library will affect the future of Benzie County?
How do I hope the library will affect the future of Benzie County? I really hope that we continue in this direction of the library being a community hub. I really, truly do. There's so much we could do. I could not be more proud of the staff here and the board. These are people that have, their hearts are in it. I mean, they are 100% in it. And I hope that we keep, you know, that we keep feeding that in people so that this never ends, you know, because we're all going to get older and we're all going to move on. But if we can keep like planting these seeds and growing them, and the library can continue to be part of the big picture, and I really, really hope that that continues, and that we are a community, that we keep that love going.
Boom.
All right.
Already a perfect way to end the video. I could just see it. Yeah. That was a very good interview.
Thank you. Thanks.